My dad burned my $3.5 million lottery win for not sharing with my sister, but what I did next shocked everyone. I'm Emily, 32, and last month I became an overnight millionaire with a lottery ticket. When I refused to share half with my sister Chloe, my parents' golden child, my father shredded my check, coldly declaring, "You'll get nothing if you don't share." But their smug faces turned to utter shock when I burst out laughing. Before I tell you why, hit that subscribe button and settle in. Because this family drama has a twist they never saw coming. Growing up in our charming suburban house in Arizona, it was clear Chloe was the favorite. My parents, Eleanor and Richard, never hid it. Chloe got dance lessons. I worked for art supplies. She had prominent displays for her art. My academic achievements were met with casual nods. I worked through art school, graduating with substantial debt. At 30, I had a steady graphic design job and a cozy loft, but those art school loans still weighed heavily. That Tuesday, I impulsively bought a lottery ticket. That evening, watching the drawing, I matched all 6 numbers for a $3.5 million jackpot. I sat in stunned silence, then called my best friend, Sarah, to confirm. "Holy shit," she whispered, eyes wide. "It's real. You just won $3.5 million. We talked until sunrise, dreaming of paying off loans, buying real estate, investing, and traveling." The next morning, the State Lottery Commission confirmed my win and explained the process. They warned me to keep it private until funds were secured. Despite their advice, I felt obligated to tell my family. At Sunday dinner, I announced my news. My parents erupted in congratulations, but then immediately brought up Chloe. "Wait until Chloe hears this," my mother exclaimed. When Chloe arrived, my mother rushed to tell her, "That's amazing, Em. We're going to have so much fun with this." Chloe hugged me with unusual enthusiasm. My stomach churned at her "we." My father quickly chimed in, "This is perfect timing. Chloe, tell your sister about your situation." Chloe admitted she was in a financial bind with her failing beauty product line, revealing $40,000 in investor debt. My father added, "Family helps family, and with so much money, you can easily spare enough to clear Chloe's debts." "I haven't even received the money yet," I said carefully. "Don't be selfish, Emily," my mother interjected. "Your sister has a real business with real potential." "And what about my big break?" I countered, years of resentment bubbling up. For once, something amazing has happened to me, and it immediately becomes about Chloe. The rest of the dinner was filled with guilt trips and thinly veiled demands. I drove home, the joy of my windfall thoroughly tarnished. The next morning, my phone started ringing at 7:30 a.m. It was my mother, immediately pressuring me to help Chloe. I ended the call and silenced my phone. At work, I found a barrage of missed calls and a text from Chloe, subtly asking for money. I contacted a financial advisor, Ms. Davies, who confirmed that after taxes, the $3.5 million lump sum would be closer to $1.9 million. She advised paying off high-interest debts and establishing boundaries with family, warning that winners often find themselves besieged by long-lost relatives. That evening, I received a group text from my mother. "We're all getting together tomorrow evening at 7 to discuss the family financial plan, now that Emily has come into this blessing." The audacity was staggering. I replied, "I won't be attending. My financial decisions are my own to make." My father left a heated voicemail, calling my behavior unacceptable. I finalized my decision to take the lump sum with the Lottery Commission and participated in the official big check ceremony for press. I then deposited the ceremonial check and copies of my documentation into a secure post office box. The originals were in a bank safe deposit box. I was taking no chances. That evening, I found my parents and Chloe waiting in their car outside my apartment. "We need to talk," my father said firmly. Once inside my loft, my father stood commandingly, my mother critically surveying my apartment, and Chloe perched uncomfortably on the couch. "This has gone on long enough," my father began. "It's time to discuss how this will benefit the family." Specifically, my mother added, "how much she'll be giving to Chloe." "I need to secure my own future first," I stated. "I have art school loans to pay off, retirement to plan for. Art school loans," my father scoffed. "You're going to be a millionaire. Who cares about art school loans?" "I do," I replied firmly, "but still plenty to help your sister." My mother insisted. I only need about $80,000, Chloe pleaded. $80,000 is not nothing, I countered. And what happens when that runs out? Will you need another infusion of cash? Don't be selfish, Emily, my mother said. Where was this family responsibility when I was working 2 jobs to pay for college? I retorted, years of resentment bubbling over. You've always had different standards for Chloe and me. The argument escalated. Finally, emotionally exhausted, I asked them to leave. If your acceptance is conditional on me giving away my financial security, then maybe that's for the best. I collapsed onto my couch, drained but relieved. I had finally stood up for myself. I called Sarah and asked to stay with her. I knew my family wasn't done. 3 days later, I needed work documents from my loft. My family had been relentlessly calling and texting. I went during my lunch break, expecting my apartment to be empty. As I unlocked my door, I heard voices from the living room. My parents. My father was shredding what looked like my lottery check. If you won't share, you won't get a penny, he declared. My mother looked grimly satisfied. Now we can discuss a fair arrangement. How did you get in? I demanded, my voice steady. We still had the spare key you gave us, my father replied. The violation of my space, their calculated act, was almost too much. Yet, a strange calm settled over me. I started to laugh. What's so funny? My mother demanded. Do you think this is a joke? Actually, yes, this is hilarious, I said, wiping tears. Do you really think that's the actual lottery check? Their expressions shifted from confusion to uncertainty. That oversized check is a prop for photos, I explained. The actual payment is being processed electronically. What you just shredded was a commemorative copy. It has no monetary value whatsoever. I showed them an email confirming the electronic transfer. Silence. My parents stood frozen. Emily, we were just trying to, my mother began. Break into my apartment and destroy what you thought was my financial security. I finished. Chloe walked in, stopping short. I was just bringing lunch, while they trespassed my apartment and tried to destroy my lottery check. I corrected. All of you need to leave now, I said, holding the door open. Leave now or I call the police and report a breaking and entering. They gathered their things in stunned silence. As Chloe passed, she protested. This isn't fair, you're being cruel. No, Chloe, I replied quietly. Cruel is expecting someone to sacrifice their financial security for your failed ventures. You've always been the favorite, and you've used that to your advantage your entire life. That ends today. I immediately called a locksmith and researched security systems. I moved to a secure building across town, an address my family didn't know. Uncle Mark called, revealing most extended family were appalled by my parents' behavior. My parents kept calling, but I focused on my new life. The money hit my account. Sarah arrived with champagne. 2 boundaries, she toasted. And 2 seeing people clearly, I added. Months passed. Uncle Mark confirmed my parents were trying to find my new address, convinced they were justified. Chloe's business folded due to high-interest loans. She needs to learn consequences, Sarah advised. 3 months after the shredding, I received an unexpected, reflective email from Chloe. I realize now how entitled I must have seemed. I was desperate. That doesn't excuse my behavior, but I understand why you reacted. I cautiously agreed to meet. Our first meetings were awkward, but eventually, Chloe sincerely apologized. I'm sorry, for everything, for always expecting to be bailed out. She admitted that facing consequences forced her to grow. We began a fragile reconciliation. 1 year later, I stood in my home art studio, overlooking a blooming rooftop garden. The walls were lined with books. My desk held documents from my charity for struggling artists. This room, like my new life, was entirely my own making. My phone buzzed, with a text from Sarah, just confirmed reservations for European art tours 2.0 next month. Pack your comfy shoes. I smiled, excited for our next adventure. The freedom to travel, explore, and learn new things like pottery was something I never took for granted. As I prepared dinner, I thought about how truly rich my life had become. Thank you for listening, and remember, sometimes the greatest twist in your story is the moment you decide to become its author. Tell me, in the comments, from where you are watching from.